Black Lives Matter is headed. They told us to stop talking about Black Lives Matter too. That's funny. And now we got all this other stuff that happened with Black Lives
Virginia
Matter.
said it would be nice to go. Okay, a 2-week camping trip though. It's been nice being away from the city. Crackheads and meth heads, not crackheads.
No, there's new crackheads now too. Black Lives Matter.
Take the money and run. You can't get justice from an unjust system. True.
Yeah, that's true. Black Lives Matter is headed for insolvency after plunging $8.5 million into the red, but founder Patrisse Cullors' brother was still paid $1.6 million for security services in 2022, while sister or board members earned $1.1 million for consulting. I think that was 2 weeks ago we talked about. Was that 2 weeks ago or last week? We talked about Black Lives Matter and then being in the courtroom over who controls it.
It seemed like we've been talking about them every damn week, to be honest with you.
We haven't talked about Black Lives Matter until the episode for like months.
Okay.
But one thing we didn't mention in the episode back then with Black Lives Matter is that Black Lives Matter, they're in court over who control it. The new controller, I forgot his name, of Black Lives Matter, because the three women stepped down. The woman in the video with them when they were sitting in front of the mansion and they were seeing how their boots in the ground, she's the one who they turned on her. Cullors and them. So there's like we said in that video, we think there's some infighting going on.
Over the money?
It's over the money, because we see this right here. It's over the money. Now, when I saw this, I thought obviously there was some money laundering going on.
Patrisse used to go to jail. Scam. It was all a scam.
It was all a scam. Obviously, there was some money laundering going on. And how we know this is that before we even get deeper into this article, it says only 33% of Black Lives Matter's $90 million in donations help charitable foundations. So where the hell was the money going? They couldn't buy enough mansions to spend that money. We know they got one, and they bought the mansion in Canada. They got the one in California. We know she got a couple properties, but that's not enough to cover for $60 million.
True.
Now, I have a belief that they was using this money to funnel into the Democratic Party for the elections.
I agree with you.
Now, remember, in that 2020, when George Floyd protest was going on, all that money was being given to Black Lives Matter. There was people that were saying that the link to the website was leading you to the Democratic Party donation page. So I believe that it's being funneled. And we all know who really started Black Lives Matter.
Tell us who.
Tiny Hat, you know. We can't even say his name because
the three chicks ran off with the bag.
I don't think they did. I think they were just the face.
Not step down. Brinley Fly, that money went to Ukraine.
That too. Some of it at least. Fuck donations.
Soros must have ended the bag.
Yeah, I think they're trying to move on to
money
another
train.
I think they have a new project they have coming up soon. I think Black Lives Matter, this name been muddied a little too much.
Yes, it was.
I think the name of Black Lives Matter has been sullied so much that they can't use it for anything else. If something else happens where police and some black dude gets killed by police or something, they can't use Black Lives Matter as the front to get the money.
The money went to the transcripters on the Bartian.
All right, so it says Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, a nonprofit that grew out of the protest movement, is hemorrhaging cash. Financial records show the group ran an $8.5 million deficit and saw the value of its investment accounts drop by nearly $10 million, with fundraising down 88% year on year. Despite the financial woes, the organization still paid relatives of the founder of the board members hundreds of thousands of dollars for its services. Black Lives Matter's national organization is at risk of going bankrupt after its finances plunged $8.5 million into the red last year. Sorry, hold on.
Black Lives Matter was created to prove that Black lives will never matter. Black Lives Matter is like a strip club with a Superman cape on, lap dances for justice, money.
Well, remember at the protest what they were doing? They were going out there twerking and all this other stuff. How is that protest to go in front of police officers and give them a strip show? It was gay dudes, it was women. It was like, what are y'all doing?
They did it all for the paper.
Cullors' brother, Paul Cullors, set up two companies which were paid $1.6 million providing professional security services for Black Lives Matter in 2022. I guess that's why she came out saying she felt threatened and her life was threatened because she wanted to make a reason why they started this security company with her brother. Paul Cullors was also one of the Black Lives Matter's only 2 paid employees during the year, collecting a $126,000 salary as head of security on top of his consulting fees. He is best known as a graffiti artist with no background in security. Patrisse Cullors defended hiring him, saying registered security firms which hired former police officers who could not be trusted, given the movement's opposition to police brutality. For the previous year, 2021 tax filing, we already know about the taxes and stuff that came out, free beacon and all that stuff. Put that stuff out. Let's jump to this right here. It's something I didn't know. This recently came out. Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors is quietly dumped for Warner Brothers after her multi-platform TV deal to create original shows telling Black stories produced 0 content after 2 years.
And that was not hard to do at all, to produce that content. That was an easy job to do.
Matter of fact, that was the reason why they said they bought the mansion, was to do content. Remember they're trying to turn the mansion into a content house so all their content creators could go around and go ahead.
Honorable Sienna, Black Lives Matter taught us if you don't put a Black man in leadership, people will give you a lot of money, nothing more.
Yeah, some real. So, let me give her some drink out.
That was good.
That was real, because it's a lot of these Black people begging for money for the organizations, but I gotta say that there has to be a little bit of Black men's fault too. If you haven't constantly showed yourself to step up and do things in the correct way, people will use that as a reason to not give it to you later on. And also the imagery and all that stuff we talked about earlier. It is what it is.
True.
But a lot of that money came. Let's not act like all of it was donated a year. But so Patrisse announced a deal with Warner Brothers in 2020, but it ended in October 2022. A source said the deal unfortunately did not result in any produced shows. Cullors had claimed that she was working on various projects, including 2 documentaries. Black Lives Matter co-founder, we just read that. The deal, unfortunately, Cullors claimed in January 2022 that she was working on a documentary about how reparations were similar to the idea of land back, where Native Americans got back their land, and other about Black social mobility. What?
Eastwood, 16 minutes of counting.
Oh, he done.
He did count from the time he started. With Black Lives Matter.
Well, we almost done now. I want to show this last clip since we're going to move forward with this. We're going to show this last clip here. Hold on, y'all. Somebody was speaking on. He had an interview with on Roland Martin with the co-founder of Patrisse Cullors. I can't remember. I'm being honest. I can't remember if this interview was recent or if this was a couple last year. What? Let's click on it. Yeah, you did. You did smash. Sorry, hold on. Oh, sorry. All right, let me just show this. But he's a content creator as well. Torrin Walker said, for my appearance last night, so this is recent. This is May 24th. On Roland Martin's questioning Melania Abdullah. This is the woman who's now trying to run Black Lives Matter, who said that she was cut out by Patrisse Cullors and that other guy. I can't remember his name, the money man. This is the interview he did.
Deep into this now. Ever since Ferguson started, there were brothers like Darren Seals and people who were on the ground who would call out some of these things and he got silenced. There were people who were close to the people who were connected to the ground who talked about these issues and he either got silenced or they either got marginalized or pushed completely out the way. Nobody said anything. And all of a sudden, after people in other cities have said had these conversations as well, again, nobody said anything. Nobody had anything to say until all of a sudden the story came out about $90 million and nobody said anything about, and people saw houses and mansions getting built. So my question is, what's happening now to make people so upset about the leadership that people weren't listening to 9 years ago? And why is it, what's happening today?
Sure. So we're actually stepping into 10 years. Black Lives Matter was birthed July 13th, 2013, which is the day that George Zimmerman was acquitted in the murder of Trayvon Martin. So we've been doing this work. People like me who've been on the ground since day one, who were people who were in Ferguson, who were people who were in,
in Ferguson. It's funny she said it was in Ferguson because that's where the old buddy called them plants, how they don't deserve to be respected, and he ended up dead in the car, burnt on fire. So it is what it is. Let's move forward since these mugs in the comments trying to revolt against throwing a coup against us. All right.
Lord mercy.